Hello,
Hello,
Frank.
internet.
You made it. I almost didn't. I was clicking a bunch of buttons, and then I wanted you to save something in the last 30 seconds. I'm like, what?
Oh,
No.
wow. Well, hi, David. How are you?
Greg, I am well. Tired today, but I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very smoked in today
Yeah.
here in my undisclosed location
How are
in,
you?
in the interior BC.
Yeah. You don't have to be undisclosed anymore. Although I don't know if you want everybody showing up either, right? Hey, we're
Yeah. Well,
here.
I don't know who would show up, but
Yeah. Yeah, we
but
got smoked out this weekend too.
yeah, yeah. We're rounding up our last week out on holidays here,
Hmm.
and so we'll be heading back um, this week, the end of this week, and
Yeah.
then get back to normalcy, shall we say?
Time flies when you're having fun on vacation.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it's not going to be slow for you when you get back either.
No,
Haha.
no,
um
but that's okay.
but you know how that is. Yeah, and I
Yep.
mean we got out to the trailer a few times too, so it's been okay. But when we were on holidays, that's when it was like 40,
Oh, I know. Like
and I'm like,
it was
I
incredible.
can't do it. So hot, so hot. But so today on the live stream, there's a few things happening, and we got a few topics here or there. But what we really have is the Patreon only live stream. Now, not to say we're going to ignore other people, but we have a back channel on Restream with our Patreons, and some of them are in here right now. We're going to bring them in. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk about topics. Um, and it'll be grand. And we do have some Patreons in the YouTube chat too. But
Yep.
a warm welcome to everybody who's here right now, even in the YouTube chat. Thanks for coming. And I do know that it's kind of weird this summer, scheduling wise. Again, like Wednesday's probably the normal day, but if we're on holidays, we probably either will have a different format or it won't be there. So,
But
but
our friend
it's
Tyler's in chat, and he literally is looking through the window, waving at me.
hi, and it's like, hey, buddy. But yeah, so uh, before we bring everybody in, it's gonna be a little counterintuitive here, but I'm gonna share this screen and say thank you to all of these wonderful people. These are the Patreons that we are streaming with today. We do have some in chat. We've got Helge, thank you for being a tree supporter, by the way. Thank you. It's really cool. Really cool. And then we've got Stig, and he's in right now too. He might pop in and out. Um, we've learned that internet connection problems are and other reasons are
Yeah.
prevalent around the world. So hey, if people pop in and out, that's fine. If you are a
Yeah.
patron, you feel free to join whenever. We'll see it pop up.
And Dominic was here, and then he was having some technical glitches, so I believe he's in
Yep.
chat. So hello.
Hello. And shameless plug, if you do want to follow us on Patreon and join the back channel and other kind of, behind the scene things, it's patreon.com/3D make it. And I'm going to be clicking a whole bunch of buttons all day long because Restream has more buttons.
and if everyone doesn't know, David's nickname is Clicky McClickers. So
Yeah,
he
I
is
enjoy
he
the clicking.
clicks if there's a piece of software, he clicks everywhere and finds out everything about it. So
Yep.
it's not a
And
bad thing.
and then I break it and then have to figure out how to fix it.
It's all
But
good.
without further ado, we're going to bring Helgen and Stig in. So hello,
Hey.
Hel and Stig. Hey guys.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome. It's funny because we're welcoming them, but like we've been chatting for like the last half hour now, right? Like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you guys before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And we were hoping Raymond would join us in the video, but he's here in chat only.
yeah, he's emeritus in chat. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh,
Oh
well,
man, holidays are those things where sometimes you might get not to work, right? Yeah. Mhm. Maybe.
Stig,
Well,
you wanted
I-
to say something?
Yeah, sorry about my video. I'm using my cell phone and I'm holding it in my hand. So if I'm kind of all over the place, and you people starting to get dizzy, I can just shut down my video screen.
It's okay for now. I since we're all like kind of sharing the screen too, it doesn't even like phase me. I don't notice
No,
it.
it looks fine. We're all our heads are about scaled right. So
Ray is having problems with his audio.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, audio is one of those things. Like, I'm an audiophile. If you guys don't know, I have equipment like interfaces, mixers. There's probably about $1,000 worth of equipment sitting on the desk to YouTube live stream. So if there's one thing that's good in my thing, it's the audio. The video could use some work.
Yeah, and I just
Here's a $5 mic.
right. Yeah, this is my Amazon special.
Yeah. A $5 special is actually like because YouTube's compression algorithm does so much to your audio anyway. Once you spend all the money, you might as well talk into a tin can.
Well, I'm just using the earbuds that come with my cheap 200 or cheap Huawei phone.
Yes.
So, you can spend a lot of money, but, well, as you said, my audio isn't that bad anyways.
Yeah, no. And like the real reason I have a lot of money is over my into it is over my shoulder there. I do a lot of recording, so it's not just YouTube.
Yeah, he's actually talented.
Let's not go that far. So I kind of want to share a screen, and it's a thought experiment. But we've all printed, and I don't know if I have any sitting around. Oh, I do, but so this one's a little smaller than a normal one.
That's
But
pretty
we've all
small.
right. It's actually one of those. It's for your extruder top, and then he spins around. But we've all printed Benchy, right? Mostly, I think we all have. But Benchy has an inherent problem in it, and if I had a bigger one, do I have a bigger one, Greg? How come I don't have Benchy? Anyway, Benchy has a line that prints along the hall, and everybody ignores it. So under the window. Oh, sweet.
Minion.
A little minion. I like it.
It's in the flexible materials as well. So.
Oh, so you can
Nice.
squish them up and
So
stuff.
squishy.
Nice. I like it. I'm just going to share my screen for everybody to see. Now, if you're not familiar with it, E3D has a slicer. I don't know if anybody's heard of E3D slicer. It's Pathio is the actual slicer name, and it looks like this, and it's in beta, and you can sign up. And how long has it been in beta now? Like 2 years?
Oh, over a year for sure.
Yeah.
Like maybe almost 2. But and they're progressing with it.
They are. It's
not
actually
like
really
they're-
cool. It takes a little bit of time to slice stuff too. So like when you hit slice, it's not like Pura or Prusa where it's going to slice and then it's like 2 minutes later it comes out. But Pathio here, it has a lot of cool advanced features. But one thing it does have is at this very moment is a primitive slicing engine, meaning it will slice your thing, but it won't automatically try to fix it and repair during slicing. And Hell's just got a Benchy.
It's impossible to get this line.
Yeah.
This is the line you're talking about. It's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see it, right? And there's no problems on your Benchy though, right? Like
Yeah,
other
but
than that,
what David's going to show is cool. You can actually see it in the slicer here.
so the problem is a reversed facet, and I'm gonna zoom in right here, and you can see this is sliced. This is G code that I would send to the printer now. And you can see
It's
there's
missing 2 layers.
it's missing 2 layers, and it's cool because Pathio tells you missing or there was a hole in an invert facet on this layer, and it says skipping layer because it doesn't know how to like repair it. And then the other one is right under the window. And like I have watched so many people like YouTubers and 3D printing YouTubers say like, oh, I gotta tune this out a little bit in my printer. It's a Z wobble or right, but no, like the actual like this is writing on the wall for it.
The model
Is
is broken.
the model is broken and like they haven't updated it. Interestingly enough, I don't know, have you guys like, I don't know how Stig or anybody really, I'm watching like three windows right now, but like, has anybody played with the multi-material benchy that you download in like 100 parts and then let your slicer assemble it?
Yeah.
That one actually isn't broken. Oh, there goes Stig. So oh well, he'll be back in some form. But like, if you download that version of Benchy, it's not broken. So, the moral of the story here is one, whoever made Benchy, I forget the guys, the studio that did it, but can you fix him? And then two, if you are running into issues and you want to get a Benchy that works, you can download all the individual parts. So like, I'll show you what that looks like. Hey, Hel, do you do multi-material? I forget.
Sorry.
Do you have IDEX or multi-material?
There's a homemade machine over here which can actually do IDEX or multi-material. So it depends on how many heads or whatever mood I'm in to start up something, So,
Right. Well, sometimes you just need a little bit of simplicity and not multi-material.
Yeah, I'm finding myself going back to one nozzle, 0.4 over and over again after trying all these
Right.
color schemes and whatever, because
Mhm.
there's either lack of models or knowledge from my side to utilize, all the whistles and all the bells and all this
Yep.
stuff. So,
Mhm. Well, and like,
and also
not that-
patience, of course.
I find the simplest tool is often the best tool, right? Sometimes that IDEX is just more tools than you need. So here's a picture of Benchy, and you can actually see the fault lines on it. Like there's one, there's the other. It looks like they almost smoothed this one a little bit.
It's
like,
hard to tell with the color and the lighting. It's
But
one of those things.
here's this is the one I'm talking about. This is the multi-material Benchy, and if you look on Thingiverse, it comes in all these separate files. And if you were to download like the whole zip package at the top and then just select all the files and open them in your slicer, so Prusa or Kira, and it'll stack them all together and make a model, and you can slice it right there and then with a single nozzle, and it will work. Or if you have IDEX or a palette or something, you can paint the colors back in with it. If you haven't, Greg and I have had access to a palette for a very, very long time now. Have you guys? You've probably seen the palette, I imagine, eh?
I've seen the palette 1, 2, and isn't there a third version also?
Yeah,
now?
we have the 2S Pro.
Yeah.
And
when
it
I
wastes
saw
a
the
lot of
price-
material.
Well, when I saw the price, I went like, okay.
And it is pricey, right? Because if you're rocking like Creality machines or like hobby machines, it's legitimately as much as a printer.
or more.
Yeah.
Or more. If you only
That's
have
true.
an ender, you could buy 3 more enders.
Yeah. The new one though, because the old one did, I think it was 4 in, 1 out, like the palette
Now it
2.
does 8.
8. So now it'll splice 8. And the downside with those kind of, like we were talking IDEX briefly, like the downside is that Splice Core can't splice 2 different materials together.
No.
So you have to all
Yeah.
PLA, all ABS, right? So
Now, the other thing is the waste. Like with IDEX, there's less waste. I wouldn't say there's no waste, right? Hills,
yeah.
like there's still some waste, but probably not as much.
I went the other way actually. I found out that okay, I can print the model in a neutral color, and well, you always got paint brushes and paint and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So
Mhm.
I found that was way easier. And when you come down to it, if you want to have something smooth, like on a model or something, you need to sand it and do all this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then the
Yeah.
colors doesn't matter.
Right.
So
Because
do you
have
guys
to.
both finish models or like paint them and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, I do, but it's more like testing purposes, and also I have one of my sons is really into this stuff, so he plays something like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever they call. I'm not sure, but anyway, he make these miniature figures,
Mhm.
and bigger ones, and houses and castles, and and of course, most of the designs you can actually find online, but I like to make them my own. So I fire up Fusion or Mesh Mixer or whatever program which is suited for my purpose there and then,
Yep.
and make the models on my own. It may not be the artistic thing to do, like it's not the ID is not my own, it's actually a copy, but I made it from scratch.
Yeah.
This is a learning process for me as well. So
Yeah.
everything you do leads to some perfection in the end. So, you know, you start with a single blob, and before you know it, you got a face.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
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 So, or maybe something like this. This is also a printed case.
Yeah.
So everything is, but it's a copy of the original with some few modifications, like this box on the outside, which have all the connectors. I'm making these cards,
Oh, nice.
like soldering
So
and
it's like
everything. So you have
a
all the-
breakout board.
yeah, you have all the connections on the outside.
Mhm.
So then it's just a matter of plugging in, and you see there is a lot of connection points here because I have one printer which maybe also one day be an IDEX, the next day it would be single, and I have connection for every thinkable scenario on one board.
Nice.
So
Did you mill that yourself, or did you
Yeah.
send away to like
no,
PCBWay or something?
I designed it, but it's GLPCB
Oh,
or
JBL,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you and were you in EagleCAD or what did you use to do your board
I
schematic?
used the program which were available on their website. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
what that is called.
I
but
also forget its name, but it's good.
it is. It took me about 2-3 hours, and I were done. And I never ever done something like this before.
So did when you
First time.
designed that, did you just design the board and then have through holes for soldering all the pieces, or did you get them to mount the pieces?
No, it's through holes. So everything you see, as the population of the board is me.
Yeah.
The board is coming. I maybe have somewhere here. Oh, it's buried somewhere down here. The board, which is just the board, nothing on it, and I solder in what I need for my purpose.
Yeah. So you're not getting
No.
it populated. You're just getting the actual cut, and then
No,
you can
but
solder.
you can get it populated if you want to. So
Yeah, our friend Vince does a lot of that stuff for the university here. So
Hi, Raymond.
here's one unpopulated. So,
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah,
have this
nice.
nice face on it. Just an experiment up there.
yeah,
So but anything else, all the decals and whatever, you can name it as you want. So
Nice.
and I think I paid with posts and everything about $20 or something
Oh,
for
nice.
10 cards.
Oh, that's
So you have extra.
Yeah. But
Well-
it was not an option like you. I
That's
was
the
a-
minimum
actually-
order.
Yeah, I was
Right.
actually going for 1 or 2 cards, but well, all the others were free. So
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to electronic design, I use KiCad.
KiCad.
And yeah, that's a free program. It's really easy to use. I don't have, I have learned everything I know about electronics by watching YouTube videos, and I have found that KiCad is really easy to use. You have everything you need to make the layout. So I have found that to be very nice, a very nice program. The few times I have made my own boards.
Yeah. KiCad is, I've used KiCad in the past too. I like it. I find myself using Eagle just because it's built into the Autodesk suite now, right? Like if it's there, I'll use it. But if you're open sourcing, KiCad and FreeCAD and all of those are really good options, right?
Yeah, I know. Like Hilchad, there's JLC PCB. There's
PCBWay.
PCBWay.
Yeah,
There's a couple,
DigiKey will do it.
and they
I
have.
have used Elecro. That's
Elecro?
also a company. Yeah, Elecro.
Yeah.
And
And they have a built-in design program that you can use. And
no,
build all
you
your
have
stuff.
to design it and make it into the files they use.
Oh yeah.
But I, if I remember right, you can get 5 boards, 100 by 100 millimeters for just a few dollars. I think the shipping is cost more than the actual boards, at least in Norway.
Probably.
Oh, for sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That looks cool. The Electron, I checked them out. They got a lot of cool like project stuff too.
yeah.
And some of them
Um,
have like a community space on them, on their services, that have projects that people share. So if you make a project, you can reshare it. So if someone else is looking for something similar, they can, basically take your project and then maybe tweak it for themselves, kind of thing. If you share it, of course.
But you can also send in your Gerber file, and if you have done something like is going way out, they have a sanity check on it.
Oh, so they can
will
see
give
that
you-
you
Yeah,
ran
they
the
will give you
positive.
feedback and say, well, if you do it like that, it will say boom.
Yeah, you're gonna let the smoke
green
out.
Well, that's take the fun, a little bit of the fun away. When you have mounted all the components and you plug it in for the first time, will the magic smoke appear, or is it working? That's what I think is kind of fun
Well,
part.
it's usually a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah.
True.
Cheaper, yes. Fun.
Well, I go
not so
for the
much fun.
Well, I just use the cheap parts anyway. I buy all my components on eBay and AliExpress and those places. So I really don't use any expensive components. So if they blow up, well, I just have to go back and to the drawing board and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. I was going for had a loose connection on one of my boards.
Yeah.
And I was going for I maybe need 10. But what I didn't see was it was named in 10, but in hundreds. So
So you have some spares for a while.
I got some.
It's always good to have spare parts.
Yeah. So that's the problem of buying cheap off eBay and everything. You have to read everything. Like, the Chinese, they will deliver anything in any quality.
Yep.
The problem is you have to tell them where to put every single screw, and you mean you need a screw
Yeah.
or made of this or that substance. or else they will make it out of chocolate and put it in if it's cheaper.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the
No,
old
they'll,
adage,
they'll,
right?
I mean, they'll build you, the highest quality iPhone, or they'll build you the highest quality knockoff of an iPhone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a previous life, I did programming, and we'd outsource some of the stuff to China, and that was the saying, like, make sure you give exact instructions, because if you just say you want the room painted green, everything's green. The lights, the light switches, everything.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's yeah,
They go green.
right. Well, they say to go green. Let's just do it. Raymond, you're here. Is your audio working? It is. It's a little quiet. You're a little quiet.
Oh, could be. I have a couple printers going in the background as well.
Oh, okay. So you're using the yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh,
I hear you. I hear you.
Gotta get work done.
Right. It's work time. We need to get you some silent boards.
Well, it's a CR10S that's printed, and I have just about 5,000 hours on this machine.
Yeah.
With the original stock board, so I'm not changing anything because it prints.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's true.
I hear that.
If it prints, then yeah, absolutely.
My original CR10, it died at 15,000, and that's why I got a new board.
Yeah, there's no sense changing it out before then.
No. And if you have your work
unless
top,
you
right?
need your sanity from quieter sounds,
Mm.
and your wife
Well,
says
That's not that
your
bad.
printers are too loud.
It's not always necessary to change the board if you have these dips,
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah.
silent drivers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you just dip them in. I wish all the manufacturers would go that way, like Creality included, because it's a lot more handy and cheaper for you. I don't know about them. It's probably more money for them to dip a board than it is to solder on like a 2209.
Probably.
well,
No, we're actually selling less and less of those boards. We're selling more of the big three boards that have the drivers soldered right on the boards.
Oh, like the turbo and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the
That's
three.
interesting. I wonder why, because like in my mind, and again, it's just my mind. My mind's a weird place anyway, but I mean, I think that it would be better to have dip drivers, like
Yeah,
like Helen
but
said.
I think if you're not into 3D printing, the way we are, some people just want their printer to work, and that is a very economical, easy thing to just take a board that all the wiring matches up and plug it in, right? So I can understand why someone might do that. I'm not that someone.
Full disclaimer,
But
that's not
I
me.
totally, I totally can understand, especially if someone doesn't necessarily, understand, the compiling, or is very intimidated by it to start with, right? Because I mean, we all have to start somewhere. But the first time maybe you're not a programmer, maybe you're okay with computers, and then you open up Visual Studio Code and all this stuff is there. It could be intimidating the first time you run it, and so I could totally see why simplifying, just going to a straight plug-in board might alleviate some of that stress for some people.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to the board, that's one thing I don't like about Creality printers. So my stock Ender3 Pro boards have probably a couple of hours before I replace them with big Tritech E3 Mini 1.2 boards, and I'm very pleased with those boards. They are just working great, no problems, except from the ones I make when I mess up the firmware.
It's smooth sailing until I flash firmware.
Yeah. The biggest problem I had was actually not the boards themselves, but actually there was a problem with the platform I/O, so I had to put in a patch. But after that, they have been working no problem.
Yeah, like I agree. Like I have really good luck. I think I've only sent one board back to Derek once, and it blew up. I plugged it in and it went poof. So they clearly had a trace bad, but yeah, like I like them, and like I did put I think it's an SKR 1.3 because I think it was before the 4s came out, but like, you know, when my CR10 blew a stepper driver, was the extruder, and I'm looking at it and going, well, I could pop it off the surface mount and then wait a couple weeks to get this one little stepper driver printed, or I could just order this board that's in stock, right? And it's here in a day, and I don't have to. And that's really where it broke down to, like, you know, my time is important.
Did you see
If
what
Apple made 3D
Dominic wrote?
Just reading it, you wouldn't be able to change the filament. It's totally true. If they did, it would be bad. Oh yeah,
Well-
I forgot we could do that. Oh, so many features. I see. Yeah, it's so true. Like, and if you wanted a printer that Apple made, what's that one brand? Dremel. I mean, if something goes wrong with the Dremel printer, you're hooped.
Yeah, it's not as easy to fix, and it costs
And then-
about as much as an iPhone.
It does, yeah. And then they have the RFID. Oh, there's more than just them that do that, but there's an RFID in their filament, so when you load it, it automatically selects all the right filaments and things.
I think that's silly. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just me. I
But
don't think
again, like out of the
closed
box
source stuff.
printing, right? I mean, if they're trying to, Apple makes a product that you could sit down at home, open it up, and check your email like that, right? And there's a reason Linux isn't at people's house, because you can't sit down and just open something. It's usability, I think.
Yeah,
Well, the more user friendly with buttons and all the things you have to push, the more problems and the harder they are to solve. So
yeah.
there's always a backside to all these things. So I think this plug and play stuff, it takes away just as much as it gives. But of course, if you are a complete novice, okay, it will get you up and running, but won't get you to the next level, because then you're used to this interface, and that's your bubble. You will never ever stray outside of this one, making something new.
Yep.
That's
so
the
true.
problem.
And like in 3D printer land, I think that's like a lot of the firmware locking too, right? Like, you know, we use Marlin. Marlin works great. It's what comes on 90% of the printers, but RepRap firmware and Clipper, right? Or you know, if you're wanting something with a little more under the hood power, Clipper is a really good choice. But you'd have to step out and learn. You'd have to step out and learn how to, you know, program Clipper versus Marlin, because I think all of us.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, that's once all the parts are kind of done for the little Voron Zero here that I'm kind of putting together. I mean, I'm going to configure Clipper, but I'm also going to configure RepRap for it. So I want to kind of get a good feel and comparison between, you know, the three big OSs kind of thing or firmwares, right? To get a good understanding. But not everyone's going to want to do that, right? So.
The Clipper, it seems like there was something. I can't actually remember the name of the OS, printer OS. It was I think it was a German firm or something. Not RipRap, but it's something in between there. A couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, for all I know, that was used. It's basically much the same stuff in configuration and all this. I'm not sure about the heavy lifting and all this stuff was moved to some other place in the world, but Anyway, it seemed like it disappeared from the face of the earth because I know there was a Zone Star printer which used this, and they suddenly changed to Marlin.
Well, so
Nice.
Sailfish was out there.
Yeah, Sailfish was,
Um,
but
but
Sailfish
that
was at the beginning
Sailfish
still.
was actually then branched and became Marlin.
Yeah, I think like
so-
SmoothieWare works almost the same way to configure with a file that you drop
Yeah.
in, and like that's what's on the Predator printers and that kind of stuff.
What's that other one that it's used on a lot of the resin printers?
Oh, Chitu.
Chitu, yeah.
Chitu, yeah. I mean,
Or Lightspeed.
yeah, that one's actually taken over a bit, isn't it, Ray?
It is.
It's
That's the
sneaking
one
in
I
there.
chose to use.
Yeah. I mean, they all again like it's they all make the car go. They all drive the printer. It's just how they can
Well,
efficiently do
Ger-
it. And,
Gerbil for CNC, it's basically like Marlin, right? It's just it's your command and control, and it understands G code, right? And then it moves your robot around, right?
Yep.
So they're all very similar. Some of them are just more refined than others, and some of them just have a must-have feature. That's why people use it, right? So
Personally, I always find myself back in the Marlin site for some reason.
well, I think most of us here are very comfortable with Marlin because, I mean, how many have compiled Marlin more than 10 times?
I don't know what you're talking about. No,
I have.
I've compiled it more than 10 times to get it on one board to
Right?
actually work.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it got an error. Darn it. Redo
What?
it again.
What do you mean sanity check? I'll come over there and sanity check you.
Well, the thing also is if you have a problem in Marlin, there is always a voice somewhere on the net which can kick you in, and point you in the right direction if you're doing something way off.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to be kicked in the right direction.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
And their error messages have gotten better over time. Like if you read them error messages,
You'll know.
a lot of them are in very plain English now, referring to, I turned on this feature, but I forgot to do this part of the feature,
Yeah.
right? So
You
it's-
defined SD card support, but you don't have a screen set. What?
Yeah.
There you-
I've never seen that message.
No, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a few things like back when I did the E3 Turbo with the thermistor inside the, the case there, you had to work around it, and there was actually a colon missing in one of the library files, and so the compiler spit it out, and then it's like, oh, I see, because it was a nightly build that I had just pulled, and clearly, the programmer fell asleep a bit and just hit backspace.
I had some funny business with the STM32 chip on one board after an upgrade or a nightly build or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But everything was okay in Marlin. I loaded it in, and the printer beginning doing something I did not expect at all.
Yeah.
And there were no error messages, no nothing. And,
Yeah.
well, I'm going like, what's wrong here? Is the connection? Is it a loose wire? Is it a ABL sensor or whatever? But of course, it was a missing library or something.
Yeah, right.
I compile it again, and then there was a shitload of error messages.
Just a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, it was kind of okay. What do you do? Update. Yeah, update.
Right.
Everything was no changes at all except for the update, and everything worked like it should.
I've had it where I compile it, it doesn't run, but then I immediately just compile it a second time, and then it's like, here you go, it
that's fine.
works.
Well, like, think back. we did that one. I think it was when 2.0 first came out. There's a how to compile Marlin in Platform.io, yada yada video that I did. But the top comment, and it happens all the time, is people like, well, how did you even compile it? Because all of the IntelliSense dots on the side are red, right? Like when you're in Platform.io, it all shows an error, and I'm like, well, that's because it's slow and it's not actually reading all of the files. And again, like it's a library thing in Platform.io when you couple it with VS Code, and I hope they fix it one day, but I just don't see a way for them to actually fix it because it's live parsing the files and then trying to guess. So
And I think part of my issue is I have where I'm storing the code that it's doing is also backed up with OneDrive. So
yeah, that'll do it.
So if I've modified a file and I go to compile it, it's being read by OneDrive. So it's like I can't find it. I can't read it.
Yeah.
And then I go to do it again and it's fine.
Yeah, always compile local on your computer and then move it in if you want to back
Well,
it up.
it's local. It's just that it's also backing up.
Is it local though? Can you count that as local? I don't know. I mean, I store all my stuff in Google Drive, right? So I'll do my compiling and then throw it up. But another gotcha with Marlin too is like if you're compiling it, don't leave it in, like if you're on a Windows machine, don't leave it in your user document folder. Try to put it right on the root, because you want the shorter the file path, the faster Platform.io and VS Code will work. So like on Linux, put it in your home directory, right? On Windows, put it in your C directory.
In a subdirectory off of the root, because I hate putting stuff directly.
Well, what is it? Windows has a 256 character limit. Is it? I always forget what the character limit on a file name. But if it's possible, if you download like nightly builds with strange names and you put it in a folder, you'll hit that limit, and then Platform.io will be like, nah, I'm not compiling anything.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't play nice with others.
Well, one thing I have been thinking about, which causes a lot of problems, people, they are new to the hobby. They are using bleeding edge boards and firmware, and they add whatever extra that they really don't need, like NeoPixels and stuff. And that's one thing I don't do ever. I try when I use, like, let's say the boards I'm using, the E3 Mini version 1.2. They have their problems, but they are known. Like when it comes to the 0.2 boards that fried your whatever stepper drivers, if you did something, of course that will cause a lot of problems for somebody who really don't know too much about it. So I'm using the KISS principle. Keep it simple, Stig. Keep it simple, Stig. And that's also why my printers right now, my 2 and the 3 Pros, is actually, I have dialed them in. So right now I can just send a G-code file to the printer, hit print, and no matter what, it's just working. But then again, it's as basic as possible. And if I find something that works, like the firmware version of Marlin, I don't download the latest just to have the latest. If it works, well, I don't need any more new stuff.
I agree.
And it happens every single time. Oh, the new version of Marlin is out. Okay, get ready. Start flashing my board that I'm testing on, and it seems to work good. So then I flash another one, and then they come up with a point update.
Yeah,
the next day.
I guess I'm using that 7.4 or 0.74 or whatever.
Yeah,
one
one of
of
the
the-
last sevens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as long as it works like it does, no problem whatsoever. I don't see any reason to make problems for myself by upgrading it.
Unless there's a new feature or something or a bug that's affecting you,
Well,
or some safety feature that you have to have, right? Like
Well,
if it's safe now and it's compiled safe and it's working and solid, why change?
yeah. And I have, I actually managed to, with my PET-G printer, I have pushed it so far. I did a 0.4 millimeter layer height with a 0.66 line width. And actually, the printer itself managed to print that fast, but the heater in the heat
keep
cartridge didn't manage to heat the block up fast enough, so I got a thermal runaway because I was printing too fast. So I know that feature is working, and I guess that's about the only safety feature I need.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everyone needs that, and it was really sad that they hadn't enabled it on some printers with that even had the ability to turn it on, and it wasn't turned
They just
on.
didn't do it.
That's my biggest pet peeve. I don't care what manufacturer you are, you should have the safety features on to protect people.
Yeah.
And that's that's the reason why I always, as I said with the stock boards on the NV3 Pro, I just print a couple of hours with them. But before I even start a printer, I compile and make sure a new firmware just to make sure that the safety feature is enabled.
Yep.
So,
it is true. Yeah. Those are important things to have on.
And the newer ones, David, right? The V2s, I believe, and Raymond probably can attest to this.
The V2s
I
have
believe
thermal runaway
it's
on
turned
them.
on.
Yeah.
In the
They do,
newer
yeah.
ones.
Anything that has the Creality Silent board in it has thermal runaway protection on.
Yeah.
It's only like the boards that are like the one Ray has in his CR10S originally didn't have them on, but I'm sure his has it on now.
It sure does.
Yeah. And I mean, Marlin, like the reason Marlin pushes forward a lot, like 90%, is it has new drivers, stepper drivers, and new boards. So if you don't own those new boards or stepper drivers, chances are you're good where you are, right? Like,
Yeah.
I found advantage on mine, my Core XY, because I remember I had flashed Marlin. It was 2.0.5 on it, and it was doing nothing but layer skipping. And then I went up to 2.0.6 when it came out, and then that just went away. So like it was literally the same firmware, right? Configuration, but clearly they changed some sort of logic in the library files that actually fixed that problem. I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I was just sitting here, I swear. So like but like Marlin, it'll push forward. The one that I play with like once a summer and it really annoys Greg is Repeater. Like I just think it's hilarious. The slicer is not bad, but the firmware is it's an awful lot like Clipper. If you pair it with their Repeater server, it's an awful lot like Clipper.
That was the operating system I was referring to.
Oh,
Repeater.
yeah.
Hmm.
Repeater, yeah.
Yeah, because
You can still get it too, yeah.
it's kind of gone by the Wave side, and then Clipper has kind of, no pun intended, eclipsed it.
Wah, wah, wah. It's yeah, like you can still get it too. I'm on their site and it's available.
Yeah, I used it for a test period and it worked, so it wasn't a problem until there was something like, oh, if you're going to continue using this, you need to have some sort of membership.
Yeah, you have to pay the license.
For licensing stuff.
Yeah.
And then okay,
No.
Well,
Marlin, it is.
Marlin,
Yeah.
it
And it's
goes.
like $100 too for the
Yeah.
license. And
Yeah.
what
And,
was
and
it?
at the time, I was fairly new at this stuff,
Mhm.
Not too sure, and being burnt in several deals on the wild or the wilderness on the web. Uh, you're kind of skeptic, You go like,
Is
and
this gonna work?
yeah. and at the time it was actually only a hobby, and
Yeah.
maybe I get tired of it in 2 days or whatever,
Yeah.
So
So how much did you want to like actually invest into?
yeah,
Yeah,
I just bought a machine, and trying to get the heads or tail or whatever you're doing here. And,
Right.
Well, looked up some videos, and it was some guy going like, you need to PID test your stuff, What
Love
is
it.
PID?
Yeah, what does that even do? Then you look it up and you're like, that doesn't make any sense anyway. I don't understand those words.
He was really into it, and
Yeah.
like, and then you had the 3D printing nerd doing a lot of stuff which actually didn't have anything to do with the technical side of the printer.
Yeah.
It was actually just a kind of show.
Mhm.
And it's his thing, and all respect and kudos for that. It's but
Well, and some people
it's
just
not
want
the technical
entertainment,
stuff
too.
I was looking for.
The nerd is like, he's really good at evangelizing the hobby and like hooking people into it. And then after that, it's, you when you want more technical, you seek more technical. But like, I'm thinking back to Repeater, Helgen. That for some reason the TiVo little monster keeps popping into my head like a nightmare. Like, that's the last printer I used Repeater on, and it was man, it was okay, but it's no Predator or even like the FL Sun S, not SS, the one before it, Q5. The SS has a lot of issues right now.
No, it's fairly new.
The TiVo has a front like this on the professional stuff, and all these things are things which I have copy designed, if you will, to make them lighter or fit a specific printer, and that's the real deal in the hobby. For me, you can actually design stuff, make it fit your unique project.
Yep.
And you can also go making an exact copy of what you got on the printer from original.
Yeah, and then modify it from there.
Yeah, you can modify it from there, or you can make some small modification, like I want to have LED lights in the front here. So I made some holes which I can pop into LED lights, and boom, you got that in place. But when you get down to it, there is also a technical side. You have to learn Fusion or whatever,
or
any
CAD,
or any
Yeah.
CAD program.
Yeah. So, like taking files from Thingiverse or whatever site and do the monkey see, monkey, it's not exciting for me. I need something to grind my teeth on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same is also with a printer. If I wanted something which were plug and play and so on, I would save up the money, and eventually buy this super printer and be really satisfied with spending all that money and just having a printer which is in a bubble in itself.
Yeah, definitely. You'd buy a Raise 3D or something that just comes in a box. You set it on your desk and away you go. About $5,000, right?
Yeah,
That's no fun.
I enjoy the design part of it.
Yeah, really, I do too. It's not because I'm good at it. It's just because you are kind of evolving.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it fills the creative niche, right? Like you get a bit of a niche, and then you start doing it, and then you just get involved, and then it's very satisfying to have something that you've created from scratch, and then it's in your hands, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dominic was asking or making the comment. I guess it's more of a comment. I'm wondering if Kira is going to try to push a paid version to everyone now. And
Well, they have a paid version.
Well, I think that's what he's saying is the paid version's out. Are we all going to have to switch? And I don't think so, because they're still using community. Oh man, what do you call it?
Libraries.
GitHub when you're forking library. I forget the name. But they're still using people to grab printer profiles and stuff like that.
Using the open source core.
Yeah.
So I don't think, like, I understand why there's a paid version, because if you own 15 Ultimaker printers, you're going to be using like it as a print farm, and like the ability for you to then take your designs right from CAD and just go into Kira without having to export them streamlines the workflow. So from a company standpoint, yeah. And I think that's what the license is. They even list the free version, or not free version, but there's a free license in their comparison chart. And I think I went through that like last
That's a couple videos ago.
But I know we went through it, but like I don't see them getting rid of it. That would be, and if they did, I mean, you could go to Prusa.
Yeah, there's lots of other options out there. That's the nice thing about this community we have is we have options. You're not, we've just talked about 3 or 4 different types of firmware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 4 or 5 different slicers out there. There's what's the one that Raise uses?
Idea Maker.
Idea Maker, yeah. There's Idea Maker. There's the Prusa. There's right now Kira. It still kills me that so many people release old versions of Kira with their printer as brand new. That still kills me.
Well, Creality Slicer. Oh, you mean Kira 4.3? Yeah, I do. I mean, Idea Maker is one of those. I don't know if anybody's played with it or has downloaded it, but if you were a fan of Simplified 3D and then you got bored because they wouldn't update anything and release a new version, Idea Maker is the one that you'd want to go to, because it's very process driven. If you do IDEX, it's super nice for IDEX and multi-material, and I like it a lot. But again, I kind of use the slicers as a tool. That's my motif, right? Like, it's another tool in the toolkit. Yeah. So I don't have a favorite, which probably drives people bonkers.
When you're talking about they may be doing a paid version and so on, I don't think that would be the smart way to go, especially if they cut off the freeware part.
Yeah.
Because people wouldn't think twice about changing it. We are all makers, And the thing is, if something is free, we will use that for a long time if you can manage to make something out of it. But eventually, when you have one bill coming in there for $100, one for $200, and so on, it all adds up.
It definitely does. Yeah.
So in the end, you're going like, let's cut off this. Let's cut off this. Eventually, you go for the free stuff. It's open source, so it's also in the nature.
It totally is. Yeah.
And we're all we don't have unlimited funds. I'm not a millionaire. I wish I was. I wish I was, but I gotta make do with what I have.
Yeah, I thought you were a millionaire. I guess the 10-year-old
Elantra I drive, that tells you.
Well,
Hey,
well,
there's
with
nothing wrong with
URV and everything.
yeah.
Well, about the cutting out the, if Cura is cutting out the free version, they still won't, they won't lose or earn any money because most of us, as you said, won't go over to the paid version.
Yeah.
So,
The paid version exists for enterprise.
Yeah, of course. If I had, if I am the boss of a company having, let's say, 10, 20, 50 Ultimakers running in a farm, of course, I could can afford to pay. And the paid version also get you something extra that we really don't need, like the farm part and stuff.
Right.
So I think if they discontinue the free version, well, they won't make any more money because there are always somebody that will provide a free slicer of some kind.
I agree.
And it's
Well,
not
the only
about
reason
not
because
paying,
you know
right?
what Ultimaker is because of Cura. So
Yeah. And well, right, like every time you install Cura, you're like, what the heck is this printer that's default here, and how do I delete you? The Cura thing too, I mean, when you look at their pricing model too, and a lot of people are going that way, but it's like it's a subscription, right? It's a yearly thing. I can't just give you $300 once. I have to pay that over and over and over, and it's not $300. It's actually $600 a year for the enterprise.
No one wants the one-time purchase stuff because they can't. That's not
make
a
money.
Sustainable model. The sustainable model is the Netflix model, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying
you just give them money every month.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with supporting companies. There's nothing wrong with giving money to Cura if you want to use those features. But I think again, Cura and Prusa used their printer revenues to develop slicers for their printers, and then they release it for other printers, right? And it benefits all of us, obviously. But like there's still the free. They call it Ultimaker Essentials, and it's still there, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. You're just gonna miss out on those professional features. But
and I if I had like Stig was saying 30 printers all of the same brand, whether it was Prusa or whatever, I might want some sort of professional management, right?
Yeah, definitely.
At that point, because I'm using that as a business to earn money, right? So I totally understand why they would do that, right?
Definitely.
But that's not where most of us in this community are. Okay.
Well, there will always be difference between hobbyists and professional business.
Yep.
So anyway, it's just like a person which is doing his living of something. If you're going to hit in maybe 200 nails and be done with the job, you won't go buy the hammer which is ergonomically, everything is right and balanced
or
and all this
an
stuff.
air hammer.
No,
Just gonna
exactly.
get the job done, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
you could
you're
go for-
hitting 200 times or 2,000 times and you're done.
Well, talking about that, well, you could always get a modified nail gun, like a company I work for. We were shooting, we were using a nail gun, and you got a big roll of nails, and you can empty that one. It was like a Gatling gun.
With the nails, yeah.
And we so you can always modify, and you can always get something that you need. But if you're going to make a patio, you really don't need a nail gun that can shoot let's say 200 nails in 30 seconds.
Yeah, right. You're okay with the hammer and nail.
You're spending the weekend with a 6-pack of beer and a couple of buddies. It's not. It's not your job. It's your weekend hobby.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna throw this up here, and it should come up. the time is the top or bottom of an hour, I guess, because we started a half hour. But I want to say thank you to all you guys in the stream and in the YouTube chat and everywhere that are Patreons. You guys are awesome, and we appreciate you. So thank you, and thank you for joining us. Coming on. I know we had some technical issues, but we sure appreciate you guys fighting through them, working and jumping on and hanging out with us. So
we'll try to make sure that we missed kind of our previous month's one, and so it's nice to kind of get everyone here, put faces to names, and have a. I mean, it's always wonderful having everyone participate in chat, but this is even extra special having everyone here so we can actually have a little bit of a gab in the chat, and so it's very, very nice.
Well, isn't it what they are calling the dialogue and not the monologue?
Exactly. Right.
It's much more personable, that's for sure, because you never know if the other person's smiling on the other end of YouTube or throwing stuff at the screen,
or just shaking their head.
Yeah, what are these guys talking about? I don't know.
What did he just say?
Well, I'll try to fix my I know my phone has been all over the place because I had to hold it in my hand. So I hope you guys have survived without being too seasick.
Oh no, it's been great.
It's been fine. It's been fine.
It's great having you here, Stig, too, and Helge.
Yeah, great to be here as well.
Sorry.
I think we should do this more often because communicating this way we have done tonight, or my time, or that it gets the discussion to another level. Typing, and suddenly the chat is all going all crazy, and you can't get the questions asked, and you don't have the time to answer, and as Helge said, it's a monologue, not a dialogue like we have had. So I think that's really nice way to do it.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed it today. The other thing I want to mention too is it is summer. We're sketchy in the summer for live streams sometimes, so make sure you keep an eye on Discord. We will post statuses or time changes and stuff in there.
And I've got my CNC that I've been just starting to really get into. I did my quick video on setting up the tools and machine in Fusion, so that was my last video. But next one is going to be setting up your first cut. So that's what we're going to work on next, so that hopefully anyone who gets a machine can maybe
cut some.
Start learning, because it's taking away material is a little different than adding material with 3D printing. So
but we're gonna click end stream. The guys in Restream, you're still gonna be here. It's really funny because it leaves you in. But once I click end stream, I'm gonna probably close the browser too. So anyway. Thank you for coming. Until next one, have a good one, everybody.